Hello guys, welcome to Ashley a Lancelot show. Today's video is going to be paints and brushes that I use, and I typically use majority of the time for that, and we'll probably get some varnish in there as well. The type of paint, actually I'm going to start the brush then the paint. Paint's going to be a lot longer conversation, but if you do like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. You can support us through the Patreon and the Streamlab down in the description below. I'm going to revamp the description probably by next week. I'm going to add in the Quester channels in as well. I do collab with him as well as a very good friend of mine. And I'll be putting a lot more D&D videos on this channel. I know a lot of people like Dungeons and Dragons and Tabletop opinions of mine. Some of you guys are just dicks, don't really give us the right statement or the questions that I get time to time. It just said your review sucks. It's like, okay, why does it suck? What you didn't like about it? Oh, your voice is new. Well, you can go fuck yourself too, because I don't give two shits. And you know, I don't get trolled as much because they know that it doesn't really affect me, because I don't really care majority of the time. Yeah, I really don't care majority of the time. Like, but if you give me constructive criticism, then you know I'll take the time to read it. But if it's like that, it's like, that guy needs to get a life, or needs to get laid, or she needs to get laid, or she needs to get a life. He or she should hit what day? I do not give two shits of it as well. Went to Walmart. I got multiple types of glue for multiple types of to glue my miniatures. The heavier it is, I use epoxy or rubber cement. For smaller ones, I'll use these. These are like $3 a piece. You can go to dollar store and use their crazy glue as well. I like these a lot better. They're gel type, and they will like fill in the cracks a bit more, and I can just wipe it off and just paint over it easily. So that's why I like these a lot for my miniatures. But the heavier it is, like that Battlenet or Bahamut that I'm actually trying to finish up, I just liquid green stuff the stuff. I am actually going to do a liquid green stuff and Bondo for cracks and everything, which one is pretty much appropriate. This is $4. This is a brush set I usually get. I get the synthetic ones. There's different types of kinds of synthetic ones you can get. This is the cheapest one. These brushes last me the longest out of all the expensive brushes that I bought over the years. And it has a lot of fine points on the brush. You don't need to spend ridiculous money on a brush. Long as you clean it out, then you put the brush cleaner on it. It's a type of wax you put on the brush to hold its shape and mentality. A couple times, probably once a week. How many times you're using depending on how many times you're actually using this brush. I don't use actual real hair or horse hair or any kind of real hair, because the hair follicles will pull out the glue. The synthetic ones for me work the best. I spend buy a packet of $4 to $6 brushes, buy $2 brushes. You don't need expensive brush. You don't need no Citadel brush. They suck. You don't need no Army Painter brush. They suck for me. Or D&D type brushes I got. It's like, they're not that great, in my opinion. And I've been painted for a lot, and I'll see like 3 or 4 brushes for like $12. Just get a cheap brush. Work with a cheap brush, and you can experiment with more expensive one down the road. I use this. I have a lot of expensive ones and cheap ones in here mixed up together. I don't really use much of the fan one. I really don't, because when you clean them out, the brushes get stuck together. You gotta break it apart when you clean, and with brush cleaner stuff, you gotta break it apart again, and it is a real pain to use and clean out as well. A lot of these brushes are several years old. They will last long as you take good care of these brushes. Some of these are Ashley's. Like, my wife don't take care of her brushes. and I spend more money on her brushes than on what I'll spend on my brushes, for that matter. So that is the brush. Long as you find a good brush that I have like multiple packets of these because I keep placing them, not putting in the cup or wash. I do wash them. I just don't. I place in places that I have brushes scattered over the damn table, and it's getting to a point like I'm getting too many brushes. You know, go to a dollar store. You know, I bought this, and I'm gonna organize all the brushes that are in the packets on these. This is $1 from a dollar store. You can get these. Made a video about that yesterday about the miniature comic question about miniatures and stuff. That's brush. I do have some Citadel. I do have Army Painter. They're still in the packet. I used some before. The reason I got them were gifts or Christmas, or you know, they were on sale and stuff. I get brushes. I give them a second chance, but a lot of times those brushes suck, and they're probably gonna be in the case. I'll probably regift it or did give it a giveaway. I do not know. I might use it for like using. You know, I use those glues. Just you know, even though it's like expensive, but they're really cheap brushes as well. I may just use them as glue epoxies and just throw them in the trash. I have a lot of reusable brushes for epoxy as well. I got a lot of these for glue epoxy. There's one time, it's kind of like one time use, but I use these for epoxy glues and mixtures and stuff like that. So that is the brushes. Don't need to spend an arm and a leg on a fucking brush. That's all I gotta say. For paints, it's a lot more complicated with paints. There are several companies. There's acrylic and there's oil. I started out as oil. I believe it was Tesco oil ones I used for actual model cars and airplanes. That's what I started out with. And oil takes a long time to dry. You know, unless you use a lacquer to help dry faster, a heat source, stuff like that. I don't really like oil as much. I only use oil paint for certain miniature, especially like military style kind of paint I'm doing. I use oil. They're my most best way to do kind of military style kind of paint. Pigment in is, I would say it's military, like military miniatures or tank stuff. I'll use oil for that. Rest of the stuff I use acrylic type paint. Do you need to spend an arm and a leg on paint? That really depends on what quality of paint job you want. For primer, I used to use a lot of primer spray, from Citadel Warhammer to Army Paint. I have one over there. I believe that's a varnish one I have. That is really depend. I usually get, you know, now you know, me and my buddy David, we're testing these primer spray cans, Rust-Oleum, and there's some other ones as well. There's black, white, gray, green primer stuff, and we spray it and see which ones work well with us. A lot of times they're sticky and gunky. You clean them out and just put a little bit of thin paint over, let it dry, and it works really well. This is varnish, but I do have those up in there. You can see right there. I don't want to get up and pick it up because I'm lazy. Like I said in the other video, I am very lazy. So primer, that is basically use a spray primer, but a lot of time I like to brush it on. So you buy a jar of brush primer, that's from Warhammer or Army Paint or Vallejo or MPS Paint. No, you don't. You can use these. This is a $4 bottle, and this is like a $2 bottle. Want to make gray? Mix these two together. You want black or white? That's great. That's pretty much all you need for freaking primer. Those are like the primary colors you need for like shadowing and stuff. You can put like white primer over it, you put darker primer over that to give it more of a contrast, kind of highlight and just shadowing easier in your miniature. This is what you really need. Mix it in the bottle. Put in a mason jar, shake it up a little, put a little bit of paint thinner if it's too thick. You're gonna make it thin it out. This is what you really need. I use these a lot for primers, and they're cheap, and I get a whole bunch of it. I'm gonna spend $12 a can for Army primer stuff. The Rust-Oleum is like $2-3 at Walmart and Target. primer paint as well. You can test it out. Not everyone's gonna work or will like to use certain type of primers. That's really up to them. That's their finances. I am not a rich person, but if I was rich, I'll probably buy a more expensive primer. But this works really well. You saw my teal mat yesterday. Yesterday on the video, I just used these as primer. Now I have my friend David made me a primer base for my airbrush that I just got not that long ago. It's very fun. So I just put a little pigment color on it from any of those the cheap paint I have, and just spray it, or I just have it milky white for that. So that's primer. Thought I spent all my life on a primer. If you want to, you paints, coats and stuff. I use Citadel and I use MPS Paint. MPS Paint is it's Reaper Paint. I'm just gonna say Reaper Paint. There are different types of Reaper paints, and there are different types of Citadel paint. You have the base for Citadel is base, layer, contrast, dry brush, and I believe there's shadow too. And they're very high pigment content, and they're very expensive per bottle. They're inkwell jars majority of the time. I have one right here. This is a base, purple. This costs about $8 to $12 a bottle, depending on what store you buy it at and where you order it from. So this is expensive. It lasts a long time because I use very little of it. A little bit of this and a little bit of thinner will, you know, stretch out the paint and everything for it. Plus, I don't use that much purple. Majority of the time, I use a lot of the prime colors the most for my paints. Msp Paint, it's more the cheaper one. Very good high content. You get the HD version of this, 8 of the HD paint of it, the true color one. They got some freaking weird names on this one. This was Alien Flesh, and this is the Master Series paint. It can range from $2 to $12, depending on which series paint you get from it. I get a lot of the $3, $4 ones. A lot of times these are on sale, and a lot of times you buy at the RPG shop store. I get if I spend $4 more, shipping is free. And also, you know, I can go pick a free mini or dice set that I have for that month. This is the majority of the time I use, and I use a lot of these paint I gathered for like 10 plus years. As long as you put in a nice temperature, place will get dry or or frozen solid. You mix it, everything else for that as well. This will last. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of thinner, stretch out the pigments and the paint, and you should be golden. Washes are tricky. Even though you buy pre-bought washes, I never had in the past. I actually, let's say if this is black, one drop, like let's say one drop of this is 10 drops of water. That's my wash. Then I've been looking at a lot of these YouTube videos how to make your own wash stuff. So I make my own wash, different colors of washes right now. That one has a blue wash. The Battlenet on it has a blue wash on it, and it's really fabulous looking too. So, you know, I use dishwashing soap. I use Gesso matte, mixture of water and pigment for it as well, and it works really well for me. Washes are different for many reasons. For that fact, it really depends on how you like your wash. I'll use simple one pigment to 10 drops of water ratio, 1 to 10 ratios for that matter, and test it out, and then you experiment from that. Do it on a miniature that you don't care too much about, that you're just going to paint over. Test the wash on that. It should not be sticking too much to the paint. It should be filling in the cracks a little bit, giving it that little shadowy contrast effect for it, and that matter. So those are the paints, and you're going to go to the craft store and get, you know, like, you know, Walmart. I guess it's a Walmart glitter glue for like fairies and stuff, and you can get some Pearl L. You go to Hobby Lobby. You know, a lot of times these are on sale. You go to cheap craft and, you know, just go to the craft store and hobby store and you get some of these bottles to give a little more effect, a little bedazzle if you want. But that is basically it for paints and brushes, in my opinion. I might miss some, but if you have any questions about brushes and paints, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll help as much as possible. But so far I spend about, I don't buy paints every day or every week, every month. I buy it like until I have like one bottle. One bottle probably lasts me about a year or two. I'm using it more, and I'll buy another one. I probably buy two, and I have like duplicates of it. Because a lot of time the company likes to change the colors around and change the names of it as well. So I don't like that, but you should buy an extra bottle or two for that type of paint if it goes away, because they got bolt. Because Warhammer took about bolt gun color. It was like a blackish metallic paint. And I didn't call it somewhere else, the Imperial Black. I'm like, oh my god, why? Why, War Citadel? Why do you have to make me suffer? But that's basically it for brushes and paint. But if you like the video, subscribe, like, and share. Please help us out on the channel as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Hello, guys. Welcome to Ashley Lancelot Show. I might not get much questions or comments on this. If you guys have any questions about Dungeons and Dragons, miniatures, tabletop in general, I would love to answer a lot of the questions. I'll probably look at a lot of the common questions that people have on Reddit and also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much majority of social media, and what I see on when I Google it up as well. If you have any questions or ideas or campaign run story, how I run things and how I do things in D&D, I would love to answer them. I love to answer questions. I love to do my best ability to have this hobby experience, gaming session, social interaction as much as possible in that matter of fact. See you guys later. Bye.